Hello and welcome to episode 100. We made it as a collective we, whether this is your first time listening or your 100th time listening or somewhere in between. We made it to 100. So congratulations to everyone. This is all for you. This is podcast for the people. The card show is for everyone, for the people. So yeah, we made it 100. Can't thank you all enough. We made it this far. There's a lot of people to thank. So I'm not going to go with the whole list of people to thank, but you would have seen them on the pod. You maybe seen some of the comments. You would have seen them in some of the videos, maybe from card shows, etc. And there's many more people that have just really like messaging me in the DMs, etc. But everyone has been a part of this show, a part of this journey in general of card show vlogs and on the lookout where we're going through data, lots of stuff. I appreciate you all, I really do. And again, I hope you appreciate the pods. And the fact you've listened to 100 episodes is a testament to you guys. I would say you're learning more and getting better in the hobby, but maybe with on the lookout on the Fridays, the pod is more of a rant about things and what product updates, and then some interviews every now and then. I will get some more interviews going shortly, but I do enjoy ranting about certain things and not having someone else. I'm gonna say besmirch, but what I gotta say, it's okay when people are on the same viewpoint, but sometimes when they're not, or they might have affiliations of the way, they won't like some of the stuff I've got to say, and they try and lay it down a little bit. So, and we're going to that rant. We've got one to come in today, though. Don't worry about that. We've got a good one today, as always with this hobby, as always. But no, it's definitely a gratitude start to this pod for sure. Very grateful for everyone for listening, for liking, commenting, on everything really. But yeah, the card show has been a good 100 episodes. Crazy. To think this little pod has done 100 not out yet in. So yeah, no, it's been great. I hope you guys are enjoying it too, which is it's a sign that you kind of are. There'll be a question one coming in a week or two. There's been a few questions that have been asked on various platforms to fair, about certain things regarding the card hobby. And again, if when a few of them sort of correlate, I'll try and best one do one. So we'll have one of them soon. But yeah, I think that's going to be it for 2 minutes 55, 2 minutes 60. Gratitude here. But no, I really mean it from the bottom of my heart. Thanks everyone for listening. And again, all your messages, whether it's asking about something or even ways to improve the pod, it's always appreciated. I said there's been many people that have helped on this journey, whether they've been on the pod. With likes of Sports Card UK, Sports Card Scotland, Rainy, I've been on numerous times. Third Down, Totally Podcast lads. There's been many people who've just been on the pod. Jim's recently, Aaron from Grading Club. That obviously sort of helped that way. Lawrence from Iconic Trading Card well, which is always cool to have on someone who's in that position of creating a card. And again, same people have been in videos of mine at shows like Rainy and Third Down and Get Totally Podcast, Sports Card UK, JJJ. Now that's card, his new account. So yeah, it means a lot, and I hope this means something too. This is what we build here, whether it's with this pod, whether it's with the on the lookouts on the Friday to drop, whether it was watching the card show vlogs a couple of years ago. Yeah, I'm not saying the pod's going to end on 100, for sure. So, but yeah, with things, I don't know, things might change a little bit. I'm happy with things at the moment. Trying to put out some more stuff, I think, some more content. So whether that it does anything to the pod, affects any sort of way, I don't know. But yeah, I'm looking to do a bit more content, especially next. I'll probably ease in these next couple of months, and then towards the back end of the year, push out some more content, maybe smaller sort of bite-sized rants, maybe. And again, hopefully some card show stuff soon as well. Hoping to go to some more card shows again, get back into some card shows. Just for socializing and just maybe play some games, create some content sort of thing there as well. And you never I might maybe get a good feel how things are at the moment. Unfortunately, my card fair, the recent card fair at my local card fair was postponed. So I've got to wait another like 4 months for that, which is kind of annoying. So yeah, that would have been a one I would have gone to, but I think the next one will be Scotland. Yeah, Scotland. Looking forward to. Obviously, I was at the first two and missed the last one, so I'm looking forward to get back up to Scotland for the card show. Bigger and better as well than I can even imagine. So that's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy, but Scotland always turns up and turns out. So I'm looking forward to that. So again, I'll be phased. I don't think I've got many more shows sort of booked in, potentially London. I'll try and get to like my local shows again, MCC obviously. But yeah, other than that, we shall see. But I'm hoping to sort of phase it in more content throughout the year, and then next year have a nice rhythmic pattern of 3-4 videos a week. Not really being dependent on sort of card shows, and and be able to put out stuff that's still gonna be of value of substance sort of thing, not just random stuff. I don't know, maybe I'll do some random stuff with pure bands, maybe I don't know, a fun little reel or something, I don't know. But yeah, it'd be cool to just keep pushing home and yeah, do other stuff. But you guys deserve it. But let's move on to the I'm gonna start off with I wasn't actually planning to start off here, but I'm gonna start off with Fanatics. Obviously they've opened the store in London, or not so obvious if you didn't know. And it was big. It was sort of pre-opening nights, a lot of like soft launches and like a pre. And there's always like tickets to certain events or certain things that's going on. There was a lot of, I don't say backlash, or a lot of talk that it's only for influencers. Only people aren't really in the hobby. I don't get it. And I could sort of see where you're coming from. There's a lot of people there that you sort of think, well, I've never seen them at shows, never really seen them interested in cards before. Never, considering they've got such a big audience on their own socials, they never talked about before, right? They never tried to help grow the hobby of their own. But I don't think those sort of days that Fanatics doing were meant for the collectors. I think they were a showpiece, right? It's to show out they're pulling the strings, showing what they can do. And this is what you'll see from Fanatics now in the UK for the next year easily. Because they're only going to try and push the shop, so it's going to be just quote unquote, for those aren't watching, air quotes, influencers, and that with cameras. I saw someone the other day I think he posted, I can't remember exactly, I think it might be LDM Mitch. I might have butchered out, but yeah, he was saying about, if I see another selfie stick carrying, fake influencing, da da da, like real Fanatics store on my phone again, or from my phone in the ocean. Kind of made me laugh, because it is what you see at the moment. I mean, I'm seeing it not only on my stories, but I'm seeing it on like ads now as well. The paid ads from all these people that they're clearly paying to talk about how good it is to break the first ever box and that sort of stuff. Yeah, which is kind of ludicrous, especially because the people that they're sort of targeting, because everyone that they've sort of brought in so far, they have a very young audience, which again, we want to do bring in the youth, but they're bringing them in through like a opening box, and it's like kids don't really have the money to be paying for hobby boxes and this sort of stuff, and it's very degen, like, that's the push. They say it's for kids. They say, oh, we want a hobby for kids. It's a child hobby. It's all about the kids. But then, let's be honest, they don't want it for kids. They want it for degens. They want people to pay money into breaks, into gambling. It's gambling. It's what it is. So it's a shame. I think the core collectors would have liked Fanatics to have been for the people, for the collectors, and it doesn't seem that way at the moment. It seems very pushy, fakey, smile. It's new boxes, blah blah blah, and there'll be to be some shining light in there somewhere. Hopefully, they'll get someone that isn't as easy to push their narrative. You know, not that they ever would, and not that I ever would. Well, I can't actually say that because there was once a bit of a deal with Tops, but that's for another pod. But yeah, if they were to ever be like, "Okay, we want you to come down to the store and da da da," and you get paid this much, but then you've got to. If they start saying you've got to say certain things, that's when the line's crossed. If it's a case of, "Hey, we've opened a shop in the UK. Um, we want you to go and give people just your view, your raw, honest view of the shop." Yeah, I go around them saying, "Oh, you've got some nice stuff there, way overpriced. It's very clean, very this, or the other. It's great this, the other." And they accept it, it's fine. If they're like, "Oh, no, you can't say about the overpriced stuff. You can't say about this. Oh, can you talk about how good the product is? And we've got the latest products." Then, I'm not gonna lie, like, a lot of the products you've been releasing lately have been very poor in my, from what I'm seeing. Like, I've yeah, I think there was this big thing I said about last pod, I think, where I was saying about this weird thing about unlicensed in the hobby, and some people were like, "Oh, you shouldn't ever buy unlicensed cards." And then ever since Topps took over and they knew it was gonna be an unlicensed period, the whole narrative changed. I even think that Wildcard, Leaf have better looking cards than these top ones. Like some of these cards that come out lately, I just do not like the designs at all. I'm quite gutted that Panini is losing a lot of them. I don't think Panini do too much, but I think Prism is something that most years was very nice. Select is another product that was very nice most years. You know, I think Tops they've gone. I don't know what they're doing. I think they should have kept it simple. People love Bowman, people love Chrome, Sapphire, that sort of stuff. Like, do that and then try and come up with a high end product like a National Treasure, the flawless kind of thing is. Yeah, have a nice staple that's a good price point. So Prism is a good one because people can get into Prism for very good prices. It looks good. There's a lot of options and variants and sort of with Prism. Similar with Select. Mosaic now it's obviously its own set and people like Mosaic. I just this like whole resurgence. I don't know. I mean, hopefully when they get licensed, then they can get better artists. I don't know, better looking cards, but they're just yeah. I think I saw was it Market Movers or Jeff Wilson shared a post saying I think it's Jaden Daniels Prism over his like Chrome first sort of thing, or I don't know if it's Chrome first or his Chrome rookie, whatever it may be. But the price difference was like $250 to $5, and I was just like, it just goes to show, it's all unlicensed stuff. It's still a stigma, right? If you're still going to want to get the Prism, we're going to lose that as collectors and as investors in the next few years. We're going to lose having these products. It's gonna change so much. Like, are people then going to go 250 for the Bowman first of these next rookies, whether that's Arch Manning or who maybe in a couple of years' time, and pay $5 for the unlicensed Prism sort of thing? Off at the moment, if it is Arch Manning, he does have a Panini license, so I don't know if it runs out by then, but his Panini's unlicensed will be autos, and his Bowman license or Chrome license, or maybe or Sapphire, but yeah, it won't be autos unless there's like a lease option there. But yeah, the Fanatics have just, I mean, the amount of said ads you see now from people, and it's. Like I said, I get it. They're trying to bring new people to the hobby. That's the whole mission, right? They think this is advertising it correctly. I think it's going to be one of them where people are going to be happy that it's going to bring in hopefully some new money to the hobby, which new blood, da da da. But on the side, the flip side, it can sort of push out the people who've been in it for a long time. Mainly because people don't like too much change, right? If usually you get into something and you like it for what it is, and then when something stuff changes, you sort of like less things about it. And then obviously there's been this whole sort of stigma, this whole thing about collecting cards, or that sports cards or TCG, how it's kind of nerdy, or you're like an old sweaty old man, this sort of stuff. And Fanatics are very sort of, quote unquote again, forward thinking and trying to push it to narrative and using sort of these TikTok and Instagram influencers, etc., do little reels and little videos of the store. You know, each to their own. It's you've got to try and filter out a lot of this stuff. That's where I've focused best. Really, I mean, I get to rant obviously in here, and I get to speak to you guys, and you guys get to message me, etc. And we get our avenues right to vent it out. We've got our own socials. We can all vent out our opinions and our feelings, but you have to sort of like make your hobby in a space, if that makes sense. Like you have to come into this hobby in general and then sort of create your own space in it and say, right, I don't want to deal with this nonsense of having Fanatics ramming product down my throat, and then every influencer that they've got in their books ramming it down my throat. So how do I get away with it? You can unfollow them, people. You can unfollow them, stay away from that narrative, and get back to the art of what you got into your hobby. If you got into it because you really loved the look of prism cards, or you really wanted to get autos of certain players, then go down that avenue. You don't have to be sort of in that limelight, so to speak, or in that lane. So that's the way I'm trying to deal with it. Like when I see that sort of stuff, the only thing that winds me up is it's influencing certain people that, oh, this is what I've got to do. I do think they're pushing break-in and the whole degen sort of narrative because it's more money, right? There's more money in adults gambling than there is in kids trying to buy sports cards. Let's not beat around the bush. So that's what they're going to push. They're going to push that degenerate sort of living. Push that whole degen lifestyle of gamble, sleaziness. Look at backyard breaks now breaking at PSA head office. What's worse in that scenario, right? They're letting that happen, or that it's not other breakers that are surpassing backyard breaks even after everything they've done. So people go, we don't use backyard breaks anymore because we've got X, Y, Z, or dun. There's like there's still the hot guys. Apparently, it's just, you just show you how much of a degen sort of hobby this is sometimes. So yeah, if you can create your own space, you can sort of control the narrative and turn it not into a DJ. That's what I try and do. With this, I try and make sure I'm not leading you guys down a path where you get yourself in debt or pushing towards, a gambling or pushing towards the products. Like there's no paid strings here. Everything I tell you is, usually my educated opinion on things. Staying on the lookout when we go through data and we talk, or if we go through sort of plays. I always bring up the data, historical data as much as I can to show you that we have spikes, similar sort of time of year, whether that's hype for the season starting, or people going to playoffs, etc. I think that's probably one of the best ways for me to grow the hobby, because if I can teach people how to make money in a hobby, then you usually, when you start making money, you don't usually leave, right? If you put £5 in and get £10 back at the end of every month, you keep doing it, wouldn't you? So it's all about doing that on a bigger scale, right? If you can do that with one card, you can do it with 5 cards, 10 cards, and all of a sudden that sends £50 into £100, and £100 is to. So it's one of them. It's one of them. Yeah, but some people, want to play the game. That's up to them. I've got people I know that, well, I would say we're friends. Well, I say we're friendly. We're civil. We get on. We can converse, and they won't like my opinion on things because probably deep down they know, in their heart of hearts, they'll know I'm doing the right thing. But obviously they're this is their lifestyle, right? They're getting paid by Tops. This is they're employee essentially, so they can't be seen to be associating with the badness or the people against them. So it's fine. It is what it is. Yeah, we move anyway. We move. Let's move on to sports, because it's been a crazy weekend of sports, right? We've had end of the Premier League season, promotions, everything. I think it's all right up for England. I think most leagues are up, if I'm not wrong there. European leagues anyway. For what I meant on there, because I think MLS is still starting strong. Yeah, we've got Champions League. That's it. Women's obviously just done their Champions League. Arsenal somehow won against Barca, which is unbelievable for them, and for English women's sports as well, I suppose, and women's and just sports in general, but more from young women in London, especially, or any Arsenal fans look up and it's that can be achieved. Um, by your local team is kind of crazy. Um, Big one between PSG and Inter Milan. It's gonna be a good game to watch, I think. Um, but I think what's to watch with now is with football, for Europe sort of thing. Is it's speculation season, and when it's speculation, is time to move cards on. There's going to be some moves. Obviously, looking like Florian Wirtz is probably going to be one of the biggest ones. He's going to Liverpool. You know, he's not signed yet, but the hype's there. So if you've got the cards, get them listed. Frimpong, another one. I don't know if he has many cards. I don't know if any people are still going to want a right back. So he could be a case of sell for this little hype, and if you don't get you don't get the money you need to get out of him, then maybe wait for some performance, and spikes and do it that way. Because I think I'll have a few good games. Different sort of right back to Trent, but very good nonetheless. City have sort of made their moves. Are talking about. Is it Tijani Rangers? Rangers? Don't you pronounce that? From AC. Obviously, Arsenal looking for a striker, so potentially Gyökeres could go there. They need that sort of striker, right? They need someone who's going to get them over 20 plus goals a season because I think didn't they have like 3 more goals in Tottenham? And Tottenham finished like 18th, and I thought so 17th. Sorry, something crazy or 16th. So yeah, they need to sell out. So strikers, people love investing in strikers. They're like the QB right of the sport. They're one they're going to get the headlines for scoring goals, etc. So yeah, that could be very interesting. And they said it's a time to sort of sell. So if you've got key ears to the ground, follow the is it Fabrizio Romano or Dave Ornstein, whatever it may be, and yeah, watch them hype sort of spikes and try and capitalize. Obviously, NBA, where it's getting to a crazy stage now where, as we're recording this, I think both games now are 2-1. If I'm not wrong there. New York pulled it back, and Minnesota pulled it back against OKC. Interesting, obviously, the talent on the show. I mean, obviously, you sort of argue that New York probably have the I don't say least marketable, 'cause that's kind of the wrong one. But when you look at like the other 3 teams, like Halliburton for the Pacers, he's like the young buck. Was he 4 years in now? 3, 4 years in. Um, Maybe more actually. Yeah, it's like, but yeah. Anyways, a few years in, and he's like putting his stance to say, "I'm here for the next 10 years. Deal with me." Anthony Edwards has been tuned out since he got into the league 2020. Um, Shea, Gilgeous Alexander has been balling for years, MVP this year. That's obviously you've got to chat on that team as well. Whereas when you go to New York, it's all like Jalen Brunson, who's obviously been in for a while. He was at the Mavs. Mavs had Brunson and Doncic, man. Think about that. I think sort of Cat as well, I suppose. Karl Anthony Towns, and it's obviously probably a little less investable. Maybe Brunson for the New York. But yeah, I suppose obviously with Halliburton, well, he doesn't actually have Pacers rookies because he was at SAC, but Minnesota for Anthony Edwards, which is obviously always nice. And obviously Shea was Clippers, and there was a weird thing with his prison where it didn't have the RC. I think it was his prison, didn't have his RC logo, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. I mean, the performances that these people putting in, it's just seeing their card prices rise, ridiculous. Like I said, if things like 2-3 weeks ago now on the lookout, go where they ain't. Go where they ain't. Look at other people. Look at the job Morant now. People aren't talking about, aren't thinking about. The prices will be a bit lower, and if you think that they can have a good season next year, take their team to the playoffs, or have decent spikes where you think, right, I can get in at a good price. I know that once they have a good game or the hype's back for NBA, we're going to be back up here. These are the people you should be looking at. I really think, go where they ain't on this sort of scenario, because Ant-Man, Halliburton, yeah, I think it'll be too expensive. I don't want to touch because obviously we've sort of gone off this, but we'll go. Start with F1 first. Now that's again boring race at Monaco. Don't get wrong. They tried adding a second pit stop, and I don't know. It just felt weird, right? Teams just sort of had a weird tactic of holding up the bunch, and letting people pit and then swapping over and this that the other. I think Max waited didn't he, till like the last lap to his second pit. Antonelli and Russell did it in like 12 laps to go and stuff like that. Yeah, so yeah, it's never the best race, Monaco, but it's the grandeur, right? But it's obviously made things very interesting at the top as well. You know, the top three are separated by a handful of points, and it's going to be this way for a long time. I think this is the three-way race we've got for the title: Norris, Piastri, and Verstappen. I think Piastri's been obviously a big a big breath of fresh air this last year and a half. I think a lot of people who've gone to him. Lando's obviously been big for a couple of years, so people have been on him, and obviously Max is one of the goats. So people have been on him for a while too. So it's going to be interesting. Antonelli had a big hype and not really panned out last couple of races for him. But yeah, it's been interesting, which is good. And maybe now with football/soccer sort of finishing, maybe we'll see more interest pushed towards F1 because it'll be what's on the weekend, right? So again, it could be interesting to go there. Again, darts is another one, with the Panini sets and the Littler sets to look out for, because golf is going to be relevant to TV, to the news sort of thing. Tennis as well, with Wimbledon not far off now, and obviously Novak winning his 100th title, which puts him like third in highest, right? I think Roger's on 109 or something like 103, and then someone else on 109. Do I think he gets to 110 or something? No, Novak. So is he 38 now? I'd like him to. I think he's the best ever, in my opinion. But I think he might fall short. I think he might take Roger, but I think he might get to like 105, 106. You got to think he's 38. He could be. You could get to 105. He could be 40 plus. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But I won't put it past him because I said he's one of the goats. But yeah, what I'm going to touch on to finish off with is this whole like loaded box scenario, with Tops. There was a whole thing where they like got some auditors going to get some auditors to prove it, and then there was like a whole, oh look, it's not loaded in this end. The next minute, like every breaker, it was a Fanatics like banner breaker, was getting like 4 1-of-1s or 4 autos in a box supposed to have one. It's I don't know what's going on. I think I purposely do think they're doing this, or I think they're purposely doing this. There we go, where they're going to make the new platform, the new breakers seem amazing. They're going to make it seem like it's not really gambling because look all the 1-of-1s hitting, look all the autos they're hitting. So I do think this is done underhandedly to promote them. It just worries me a lot about products elsewhere. Like, can you go to the shop and buy a decent product nowadays then? And when you go there and buy a box that should have an auto and have no autos in because you've put 7 in this one box for your breakers. Because that makes good content, right? Good reels. But we shall see. I mean, there was a whole thing about one of those, was it Top Soccer, marks of excellence? There's stuff missing there. That's like finally showing up like months later. Weeks later. It's a sus game. It's a very dirty game. And I remember a while back saying, "Oh, Top, the Fanatics, they need to just pay Panini no matter what, get it dealt with." And now I'm just thinking, I don't know if I want them to anymore. Are they doing more good for the hobby or more bad for the hobby? Are they taking this hobby into a gambling stream, or they try to turn this hobby into what it is? They could have done so much. It's still kind of wrong, but they could have done a better way of introducing themselves to the UK than open a store, open Fanatics Live, and be back, hiding all these influences and push gambling. But hey ho, it's another pod for another day, right? And on that note, we'll celebrate the 100th by finishing after half an hour. How about that? Could have gone for 100 minutes, shouldn't I? That's what I should have done. I don't think anyone wants to listen to me for 100 minutes. Jesus. Yeah, another week done. Another episode done. 101. I might do the question and answers. I might try and get a guest on. I wanted to do the 101 on my own as a sort of a gratitude thing and a thanks, and then just talk to you guys. I don't have to get into the nitty gritty with Fanatics and other stuff. But yeah, maybe 101, 102, I'll get a guest on and we another mini celebration, I suppose, as well. And yeah, the Q&A one will come either side of that. There wasn't many questions that are similar. I think when it's similar questions, I like to just compile them up, because then it's like, oh, if you're asking it, then means people might want to know it as well. Whereas with sort of like the odd random question, I usually wait till it's asked a few times to sort of do a pod on him. Obviously, I always respond to DMs, as you guys know. But take care, all the best, and I'll see you guys Friday for on the lookout, and next week for the card show, as always. Peace.